Welcome to the Winning Edge Investments Podcast. Winning Edge Investments provides industry-leading horse racing and sports betting tips, ratings and education, enabling you to invest intelligently and treat your betting like a business. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com to learn more about how you can start to supercharge your betting bank immediately. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.
Today on the Winning Edge podcast, we're joined by one of Sydney's newest trainers, Blake Ryan. G'day, Blake. How are you?
Brad, how are you, mate?
Very well, mate. Thanks for coming on the show and tell us about your journey to becoming a trainer at Hawkesbury out there. How long have you dreamed about becoming a trainer in your own right?
Oh, a long time. Started off, you're born into it. Dad rode for 18 years and he's been training, and then he was foreman for John Hawkes at Epsom, and he's been training on his own since 91, I think he started. So I was 4 years old then. So, you grow up like everybody's son, I suppose. You want to be a jockey. And then you get to a stage where that might not happen for you. So you work out you've got to find a different path. And, it was always going to be something in racing, and we've had a few goes at a few things, and in the end what came back was the call of the horse itself. So I sat down about 6 or 7 years ago and decided that this is what we wanted to do, and had a real good red hot go at it.
So how long did the dreams of being a jockey go on for?
Oh, for a very long time. But it was evident about 15, 16 I was going to be too big.
Yep.
So they went by the wayside, and I was in broadcasting side and did 7 years at TVN, and then decided I missed the horses and went back to there, and then rode and got my weight down, and got down to about 58.5, and then took out my amateur licence, and rode around the picnics in New South Wales for a couple of years, and we had 150 odd rides and rode 30 or 40 winners. So had a good couple of years. It was a good learning experience actually, and taught you a lot. Taught you a lot about even the training side. Like when a jockey comes back in and wants to tell you something, you know what they're talking about now more than just having to watch the race.
Yep.
So
you can tell if they're bullshitting you as well.
Yeah. But no, they're still too good for me sometimes.
What do you remember as a kid from those early days of what formed your love of racing?
Oh, I love the whole sport of it. I grew up, we had, I think, the 89-90 racing year video. I think I wore it out. We used to come out from school every day and watch that. You had horses, Elmerad, Stylish, Century, Bayer Road, Tristan Up, Superimposed, Betelgeuse Up, Horlicks. Like, I could go on for days. I think we had from 89-90 to 94-95, they had all those videos, and they were just on repeat constantly. And you're getting around the stables, and Dad was lucky enough to get some good horses early on, and so as a 5, 6, 7-year-old, you're going down these Group 1 horses around the place, and when you go into the races, you go with there's runners in Group 1s and Cooper Guineas and stuff like that, and I always wanted to. There was no other avenue for me really, and I'm really happy there isn't, because I couldn't imagine myself doing anything else. And I'm a big fan of jumps racing as well, and always loved that. And probably going there in the first race in the winter was always a jumps, and families from Western Districts of Victoria, so aunties and uncles at Warrnambool, so that's heavily ingrained in us as well.
Yep. So you've held a lot of different roles. I mean, you've been a producer at TVN, you've been a jockey. That diversity of roles in the industry must be a big help in what you're doing now as a trainer.
Well, it is. It's sort of, they teach you different things. Obviously, there's the horse side you need to do, but you need to be able to talk to people and work as a team with people. And being in production gave us a really good grounding in that. And lucky enough to work with who I think are some of the best racing and sporting television minds in the country. From a lot of those guys that were around in TVN days, they came from the Packer days at 9. So they taught you the old school way of things, and taught you a lot, and it just wasn't about turning up and doing your job. It was about going that extra step, and I'm forever grateful, and most of them we've even got a couple of them in a horse with us. So
that's handy.
Yeah, it was handy too. So just great experience. And I reckon, different roles, they teach you different things, and you take little bits of everything and bring it into what you're doing.
So how long did you work with your dad, Gerald, for, and what kind of roles did you have with him?
Oh, yeah, we always ran the place with Dad, following him around as a little kid, and started on a few pre-trainers out the farm when I was 9 or 10, which I don't think you can probably do these days. But I think first or ever rode track was my Duke, and I think he's 2-year-old in '96, and he's still going. Actually, he's alive at the Gold Coast. Michael Carl and Maxine Carl have got him, and so then it was obviously left school. I was a bit of not a great student, and Dad sort of got to 15. I was sort of 15, and it was either keep going at school or go to Sydney and work for me, because we've just got 40 boxes at Rose Hill, and he was leading trainer in Queensland at the time, and so jumped on a plane, thought it was a great idea. Lasted there 12 months, decided it wasn't for me, went back, lasted there 3 months, and went back to Sydney again, and then sort of worked for Timmy Martin and did a little bit of stint with Chris Waller, and wrote a bit of work for Kim Moore and Alan and Jack Denham while I was there, and then I was a bit lost for a while, and found that's when TVN came along, and it really straightened me up and gave me a bit of focus. And so I was out of the stables for 6-7 years, and then more in the sort of media side of it, and then decided I went for a holiday by myself to Europe in end of 2011. And decided I didn't miss work. All I missed was the horses. So when I came back, I gave notice there and started riding work again. And that's when I got my Pickney licence out. Was with Dad ever since until Christmas Eve, just gone.
Yep. Pretty impressive list of trainers you've been with. A big list of talented horses you've been involved with too. What are some of the best ones?
Oh, I think, going back, I was lucky enough to be at Tim Martin's when he had Exceed and Excel, and he's probably, like, score on the board and what he's done, he's probably the best horse I've sat on.
Yep.
Trapeze Artist, nice hat. But talent-wise, I'd rate Menari, even though he didn't scale great heights on the racetrack. He was, listed Group 3 winner, but he's natural talent. I'd put him right up there with Exceed and Excel.
Yep.
I was lucky enough to, some of the horses, when you go to Rubick, you take Rubick to Melbourne, you ride a bit of work for, you stay with blokes like Kieran Maher and Mick Price and the McDonald family, and you ride a bit of work for them because you've only got a couple yourself, and vice versa. They come up, and, lucky enough, before Kieran had a Sydney stable, as Cadelia and Srikandi and Mr. O'Kieran, they stayed with us, and I was galloping those horses for them, and Mick Price brought Seabrook up, and so not just the horses Dad's had and people I've worked for, but just visitors staying and having they need someone to get on and gallop one morning or go with them even, and you've had you get lucky enough to throw your leg over some real carnival horses, and it gives you a good guide to where your owner at too. So it's a very long list of good horses, no absolute champions, but very, very good Group 1 horses, and I've been lucky enough to get a leg over.
A couple of very nice stallions there now, Exceed and Excel and Rubick, and also got Trapeze Artist at stud now too. How's he going out there?
Yeah, the guys at Widden, they're really happy with his foals, and they reckon he's an absolute jet in the barn. So walks in, serves them, gets the job done. Fertility's right up there, and like he was when he was in work, he's a laid back element of a horse, and he used to, until he worked him out, until you knew what his pattern was, and he was never a great track worker. He worked okay, but he was never gave the super feel. But when you worked out what his level of good was, then you could know where he was at in prep, and Dad did a great job with him. A lot of people sort of didn't rate the horse because at the time, because he wasn't winning 6-7 in a row, but he's a real grand final horse, and he took a lot of
on his
getting
day.
fit. Yeah, and when he was right and the shades were on, and when he was rock hard fit, he's bloody hard horse to beat.
Pretty quirky horse, though, wasn't he?
Yeah, he was. He had his moments, but he's generally pretty good. There's been a lot quirkier than him. So.
What's the quirkiest you've had?
With a lot of ability, I'd say Hot Snitzel.
Yep.
I remember his first start, he tried to 50 yards out of his three in front and tried to jump the inside fence on Corey Brown. Then he went to the nursery. Second start, National Willow, he missed a kick. 5, refused to go. Stormed down the outside, got beat a length and a half. Then he got gelded. And then I think Ray Murray made that gelding. He went to Queensland. He won the Kenny Russell and ducked out the 1800 metre shoot after the line. Then he won the size up there. He was a really quirky horse. And a lovable horse, though.
Yep.
Road issue. He used to carry around. He used to sound like Darth Vader and stand around every morning looking up at the stars. And I think Huey came and rode him one morning track work, and he said, "I think he's the most overachieving horse I've ever sat on." So I don't know whether it was a rap or not, but he was a quirky horse, but he only passed away not long ago, actually, sadly. But he's also had a lot of time for.
Well, hopefully you don't have too many like him in the stables in your first year.
I'll take 10 of them. So.
I guess if you have that talent, then you definitely take him. So what were some of the most memorable wins you've been involved in with horses?
Just some of them, with Dad, there's a lot of work that goes in behind the scenes, like a horse called Washington Heights. He came back from, not many do what he did. He went to Hong Kong and I think he ran second in the Santa Monica, second in the kindergarten, the Hallowed Crown, and he went to Hong Kong and he won 2 out of his first store there and looked like being a superstar there and broke down, and he came back, and not many come back, and we won first up with him at Rose Hill, and that was, I think David Raphael was crying, I was crying, and Dad was slapping us around the back of the head telling us to pull our heads in, but some of those, they're not your biggest Group 1 wins, but they're the ones, some of them that mean the most because of the backstory to them and how much work goes into them, and he's an unsound horse, and he was right, and just there's a few like that, like Angel of Mercy, who just got beaten in Attached Tiara, and she's another filly that's, she had a lot to do with her. She had thin-soled feet, and she couldn't handle wet tracks, and always Sterling and I was always icing her feet, and Timmy Bell won a Lord Mayor's Cup in Brisbane with her when we took her up there, so we got to travel with them too, so you get to know them a lot better when there's, you go from, you're in a team of 75 and then you take the carnival horses away and there's 2 of you with 5 or 6, and that's when you start to really bond with them, and you get to know little things about them, and they're the special ones,
I guess the ones that challenge you the most are the ones which are most rewarding when they put it all together.
Yeah, they are. Yeah, they are. Because the ones you work, good horses are great, and you wish you have one walking in the door every day, but sometimes you get a little bit more satisfaction out of the ones that took that bit more work to get there.
Yep. So tell us about Blake Ryan Racing. I know you were involved in ready to run sales and getting horses prepared for there in the last couple of years. Tell us about that.
Yeah, well, decided, I've done 4 years of it, and decided that I think I was turning 31, and I wanted to do something for myself. Didn't want to be, big 30s and still be, poking around in the background. So I wanted to do something for myself, and that was a way to get into getting your name out there and giving yourself something to do. And Inglis were very supportive of allowing me to operate, and they've been a great help every year. And so they backed me to buy a couple of horses to trade, and it took off from there. Started with 2, and then 2 other clients gave us horses 2 other clients and Dad's gave us 2 to prepare. So we took 4 there the first year, and then last year we had 20 in the catalogue. So it just grew and grew, and I enjoy doing it, and it's also was a way to get an avenue and to improve and get some scope in life, So.
What's the process around getting horses ready for those sales? It'd be pretty complex, I'd imagine.
Well, there's not a great deal of difference between just training a 2-year-old. I don't think that's the way I look at it. I think you can overthink things a little bit. You buy a horse that's probably going to be. I think it starts at that. You've got to be buying the right type of horse that's going to be, even though they might not have to be super early 2-year-olds, but they've got to be able to. They can't be your ones that are going to take 3 years and a mile and a half, even though there has been there's some exceptions to that, of course. But I think the main thing is just treating them as any other horse, and I think you can overdo it a little bit if you try and make them do things before they're ready. And most of the times, if they're built and bred to be ready on that day, they'll get there eventually, and you don't have to push them too far. So it's all about just treating a horse as an individual, and they have 2-3 preps, and then the last prep's usually the third prep, and it's 6-7 weeks to that day, and you just got to keep them balanced and keep them sound and happy, and if all that goes to plan, well, then you're a chance of getting a result if the market likes it.
Have you had any really decent ones which have gone on to produce on the racetrack?
Had a lot of winners. Haven't had a group winner yet. A horse in Singapore, actually, Hello Crown Horse, we sold for 35,000 2 years ago. He's an absolute steal. His name's Relentless. He's heading towards the Guineas races over there. I think he won 2 weeks ago. And he was good. Had a Tornado horse first year. He's won 4 or 5 over there. There's Resolution and Paul Massara's got a handy one called Temple One that he's still maturing and getting there. And I think we've had out of the 12 from last year, 2019, I think over 8 of the races to 7 winners. So they're doing the job, and they haven't been ridiculous prices. We buy them to trade, and so what they make, they make. If you buying them, the mantra is you're buying them to get them ready to sell on that day. So you've got to stick to it. Yep. So I don't think people want to back the concept otherwise.
And that translates pretty smoothly to buying horses for your own stable now.
Yeah, well, we've sort of kicked off. Obviously, the Australian market's built on speed and 2-year-old success. So going there and buying, that is probably what we're looking at. But you just want to go and buy a horse you want to train. Simple as that. If you like a horse, you like a horse, and if all the other boxes tick themselves, then you're probably someone like me is probably not going to afford them, to be honest.
Yeah.
Then we've got to find owners for them. But we bought a couple of nice ones at Magic's the other week, and for Deep Field Filly, I think there's 90% gone in her. And bought a Pariah colt that I loved, and there's plenty. I think there's 60 or 70% left in her, but in him, sorry. But you're going there and just buying a horse you want to train, and at this early stage, it's as hard as it is. You need stock, but you put your head in the noose, sort of trying to get them, and especially it's hard. It is a bit hard as a young trainer to attract people to invest good money in you when you haven't even had a runner yet. So that's why I also we bought a mare online while I was at the Gold Coast. Actually, a few mates found her, and they came in and organised that. And so we need a couple of horses to get to the track, So hopefully in 8 or 10 weeks we'll kick off with our first runner, and hopefully that can generate, and she can hopefully he or she, whichever one it is of the pair, gets to the races, can win a race for us and generate some interest.
How many stables have you got now, and how many horses have you got?
We've got a dozen boxes here. We've got 6 in work at the moment, which is enough because I'm doing it all myself at this point.
You're riding work yourself as well?
Riding work ourselves, feeding them, mucking out, everything, hosing, everything, one-man band at the moment. With my wife.
Keep you busy?
Yeah, she's got the kids, Jess, so she's a great horsewoman in her own right. She rode for Australia, 3-day eventing, and so she's a great sounding board as well. And so when she can, she comes and helps us as well, mainly in the afternoons. But we've got 6 looking to grow, and we'll grow once we get some get a couple more horses in, and keep just doing a couple of little things around the place, putting our own little touch on it. So when they're all ready to go, then we'll be looking to fill them right up. So good number to start, but we do need to grow it, because you do need to be out there and in people's faces consistently to generate growth.
Yep. When was your first day as a trainer?
Officially was Monday, day before Australia Day. So,
okay. Yep.
That was, we had everything in and got back from the Gold Coast and got the stewards around last Thursday they ticked everything off and said, here's your licence. you can bring horses into work. So we brought 4 in on Monday, and then another 2 came on Tuesday, and so Monday was the first official day. It was good, instead of being on a shovel and a wheelbarrow with road base and stuff like that. And it was good to just get in and get your hands in a bag of oats and make a feed, and then put a bridle on one the next morning and get on and go out and have a burn around. So
Yep.
it was good to kick off. Good feeling.
So tell us about Hawkesbury, where you train out of. What's it like out there as a training base?
It's great. It's improved a lot, actually. Like, I was out here 4 or 5 years ago for 18 months with Dad's second stable when Platinum Park opened up, and that was his sort of pre-training and satellite. And we had like Solicit raced out of here. She won the Darling Crown out of there.
Yep.
And she was our first runner there, and Estonian Princess, and the ones that just sort of needed a change away from town. So we brought them out here. It's more semi-rural, while it's still, you're 35 minutes from Rosehill, you're 45 from Warwick Farm, and it's, while it's still being close enough to town, you're semi-rural, that you could give them something different. And since then, going away and coming back, since then, the polytrack's gone in, and there's been improvements, and the grass is better, and the course proper looks magnificent. And so it's really improving. There's another trainer's hut out in the middle now. There's been updates to the grandstand. And so the club's doing a good job. And the way Sydney's growing, the housing estates and everything that's popping up in this area, you could really see this club growing to perhaps even the next metropolitan track. I don't know what the plans are, but if they wanted to pick one, this could be it.
Yep. All right. Any goals for the short term or long term? Anything set in stone which you want to achieve in the coming years, or just poke along?
You train winners, and you train enough winners, you'll get a good horse somewhere, and you get a good horse, then you'll win a good race. So first things first. As Henry Field from Newgate always said to me, just put your head down and keep your foot on the gas, baby. So,
yep. No shortage of hard work for you.
Nah, hard work never hurt anyone. So.
Yep. Awesome, mate. Well, great to catch up, and we'll have to catch up when you have a few runners on the track in the coming months. So, all the best, mate, and thanks a lot for joining us.
No worries, Brad. Thanks, mate.
At Winning Edge Investments, our team of highly skilled expert analysts and full-time professional punters review the data, crunch the figures, assess the best betting opportunities, and deliver them to your phone via our app and your email inbox in real time so you profit. Go to www.winningedgeinvestments.com. Look at our membership options. Make your choice and enter the promo code PODCAST to receive a special 25% discount on your first membership just for listening. That's PODCAST in capital letters for a 25% ongoing discount on your first membership. Treat your betting like a business and invest intelligently with Winning Edge Investments.